Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big League Dreaming, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. I'm John Gonzalez, the dad. And if you're new to the podcast or you're a regular listener, you know it's the dad and his three sons talking about the game they love. We have two of the three sons joining us on today's podcast. An interesting topic. We're going to talk about ABS and the MLB's decision to integrate the ABS in 2026. Looking forward to the topic. Son number three can't join us today because, as usual, he's busy with his baseball team, but we have some good news, which we'll tell you about son number three here in a second. But let's introduce the two that are on the podcast. Son number one, based in Charlotte, North Carolina. He is a very happy Seattle Mariners fan. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great. Looking at the standings, and you see like the little Y next to Seattle Mariners that they've clinched the division. I forgot what that little Y means. I haven't seen it since 2001. So yes, life is good right now.
Yeah, and early in the season, we didn't think this was going to happen. So what a reversal of fortunes from the Mariners compared to my Tigers. I don't even know if I want to talk about Tigers right now. Let's introduce son number two. He is our Mets fan based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Ty Gonzalez. Ty, how you doing?
Reversal of fortune for the Tigers and the Mets. I was watching the Mets Cubs Wednesday night on ESPN. They showed the nice playoff percentage graph, and they were 98% chance to make the playoffs September 5th, and now they're like a 40% chance of making it or something. So within 1 month.
Within 1 month. Well, the Tigers the same way. I think everyone knows about the collapse there, the epic collapse of the Tiger season. We'll see if they salvage it. We're recording this podcast on Friday morning. So by Saturday morning, when this episode drops, we drop new episodes every Saturday at 9. Maybe they won last night or Friday night. Maybe they didn't. A lot's going to happen. In fact, Zach, we should tell people we're going to have a special podcast live version Saturday night, right?
Yes, Saturday night we're gonna go live for a little bit and talk about Game 162, the last game of the season on Sunday, where the landscape of baseball is at, who's locked into the postseason, games we're watching. It should be fun.
Live version of Big League Dreaming, the podcast, about 8:45, 9 o'clock p.m. on Saturday night. So if you're listening to this episode on Saturday morning, you're going to hear me and Zach and son number three, Zane Gonzalez. He is our Red Sox fan. And would you know it? Tigers are playing the Red Sox at Fenway this weekend for a pivotal 3-game series. Zach, any predictions for the Tigers real quick?
Man, I hope the Tigers get in. I would love to face. I just don't want to face Houston again. Even though we just swept them in Houston, just to see Houston not make the playoffs would make me so happy. So I really want the Tigers to get in for sure.
Well, the good thing is the Tigers do hold the edge over the Astros, so that's good news. And who knows, Ty? Right? Any predictions for you on the Tigers?
I don't know. I don't think they make it.
Yeah, you're more concerned about your Mets. I right now I don't think they make it either. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
I don't think so.
We'll see. All right, Zach. Let's get to the topic of today's podcast, which is about the announcement about ABS coming into play in 2026. So you lined up our latest guest for the show. Looking forward to talking to him. Tell us more about him and introduce the guest.
Yeah, when I saw Major League Baseball is bringing the ABS challenge system to the game in 2026, I had to reach out to my friend Sam Perry, who works at the Charlotte Knights and the Kannapolis Cannonballers up in the press box and works with the ball system and the ABS system. So Sam, thanks for hopping on today and joining us for a little bit to chat about it.
Thanks, Zach. It's really an honor to be here. I've been kind of begging you to let me on this for a while now, so I'm glad to finally get the invite. MLB gets me a little more status here, but really glad to be here and be able to talk about the next season and the impact ABS is going to have.
Sam, definitely looking forward to getting your insight. But before we do that, we always love to get someone's background real quick. Tell us your baseball history, and did you have big league dreaming in your blood when you were a little kid playing t-ball? We're assuming you played t-ball, but we don't know. Maybe you didn't.
I did. My big league dreams kind of changed a little bit when I was younger because my first baseball game, I was technically 2 weeks old at, because my older brother, he went on to play Division I baseball at Charlotte. So my big league dreams kind of shifted to his big league dreams and hoping for him and being at all his games, trying to support him. I actually have his Charlotte jersey on the wall right here. So I hand the camera over to show it off.
Awesome.
But yeah, Growing up, I've always loved baseball. Back when I'm a Dodger fan, as you can tell by the stuff on the back wall. But growing up, used to always go to Vero Beach when the Dodger had spring training there. Really sad when that left, but yeah, baseball has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. And my first year in minor league baseball was 6 years ago. Well, 7 years ago now, 6 seasons because of COVID. It was the year after my brother stopped playing baseball. His high school catcher actually called me up to do scoreboard in Kannapolis. And it's just more from there. I'm now with Major League Baseball. Zach, you talked about you haven't seen the Mariners make have the Y next to their name since '01. I wasn't even alive then, so just to rub salt in the wound.
Nice.
Definitely saw a post and it had like the Mariners roster and how old all of the players were in 2001. And it's like Cal Raleigh, 4 years old, George Kirby, 3 years old, Julio, 4 months old or whatever. Harry Ford, not born. It was ridiculous.
That's great, Sam. So it sounds like you've been a lifelong baseball fan. Tell us about what you do with the Charlotte Knights and the Kannapolis Cannonballers.
With the Knights, I'm the Doug, who's in charge of the press box. He's in charge of the communications. I was his associate, but I also do stats for MLB on the Stringer software, but also the tracking software called Boss, which I know not a lot of people have heard of that. But Boss stands for balls, outs, strikes, and situations. And at the AAA level, which is where I do that at, the main focus is having the right batter up because that's what sets the strike zone for ABS. Because if you have the wrong batter up and say the batter or the pitcher goes to challenge it by tapping their ear or head, it'll have the wrong plate up there on the video board. So you could be like, this would be an extreme example. Say it's Aaron Judge at the plate, but I had Jose Altuve as the batter. That's a much smaller strike zone. So really important for the boss operator to have the right batter to ensure the strike zone's consistent and correct for the batter.
Zach, that's crazy. I never heard of Boss until earlier today when we were talking about it off the air. So in order to have this ABS work in 2026, you have to make sure this Boss system has the right strike zone, right?
Yeah, so it takes the batter's height into account. That way, the box is correct. The zone at the letters, and then above the knee, or Sam, you know what it is. But they have all those high-speed cameras, and they all have to lock in to the right zone. Because if you have a taller batter and they challenge it, it's gonna be different according to who's at plate. Everybody knows about the ABS, and they see the fun box up on the video board and the ball come in. But there's definitely people on staff that make sure that all of that information is correct so that they get the calls right.
It kind of blows your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Before I hopped on, I was kind of thinking about it, like how accurate is this ABS system? But after just hearing that, it sounds like takes kind of everything into account to be pretty accurate. Is that true, Sam?
Yeah, the way they make sure it's accurate is spring training of every year. They measure every player on the team, like their stance, where there is, and it has adjustments for that throughout the season. But that's why it's so critical. And like every Monday, we get our email telling us make sure we have the right batters each day because that's going to be they talked about when it goes to the major league level, that's going to be crucial. And now it's here. Yeah, they make sure it's not like this hasn't been tested. I've been working with Boss since 2021. They've been testing it out through AAA, so they knew it was ready before they went up there. It's not like they're just cold turkey hoping it works. And they really put the time and effort into making sure this should work. And then, like you saw it in the All-Star game, professional major league players, they know the strike zone. They got all the challenges right. It's ready. Players are ready. And I think it's going to work really well next year for that, especially since they've tested it over these years.
Well, let's talk about that real quick, Sam. I'm sure Zach and Ty might have some more follow-up questions for you. But for me, which I think is the obvious question for fans, is like, how will this change the game? Since you've been monitoring and been involved with this, for several years now, have you seen the game at the minor league level change because of ABS? And do you expect any changes at the major league level?
I think the biggest change is players seem to just learn the zone more, and it also helps the umpires because the umpires have the option because they have the headset connected to the ABS op during the games. if there's a pitch for a certain batter, they weren't positive on their call, they can just always radio up, say, where was it? How close was it? So they can always adjust the zone to what it needs to be for each batter. I think you'll see umpiring be better overall. Players will know the zone. Yeah, some of the veteran pitchers might not get the calls they used to get, but it'll be more accurate and make for a better brand of the game.
I think that's interesting, Zach. I didn't realize that the umpires can kind of adjust, right? Because that's the human part of it, right? The umpire is there, and baseball has been a human game, and the umpires are, we've all experienced, even at the little league level, major league level, or travel baseball level, high school baseball. It's the ump's fault, right, Ty? You know how that goes.
All I
Getting kicked out.
know is I had my favorite umps that would ump for me when I was pitching, and then my favorite umps that would ump for me when I was hitting. I'll just say that.
But Zach, have you seen the umpires make adjustments in their zone at the AAA level? Like you're at Charlotte Knights working there quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like my experience with it is the umpires will radio up to us on the headset and ask if they got that call correct or not. I don't really see like many adjustments or anything like that. I feel like that's probably during the off day when those kinds of adjustments changes happen after a homestand is complete. But I feel like it is pretty cool because the umpires take it very seriously, right? They take they're out there trying their absolute best. They want to get every single call correct. They have their own personal scorecard at the end of the game on how they did. So the umpires, they're out there trying to do their best and get every call right. And it is pretty cool to see whenever a player does not challenge a pitch and then the half inning is over, when the umpire will radio up to us and say, hey, on that first batter, I think it was the second pitch, it was low. I called it a ball. Was that a ball or did that catch any of the zone? And then the person that's on the computer can go back to that batter, find the pitch and say, yep, looks like you got that one right. It was just off the zone low for a ball.
Are they also ordering a pizza for dinner after the game?
On the headset?
I'm just joking.
I haven't gotten that one yet.
And while you're checking that, make sure you got a pizza for me after the game. Zach, why don't you tell people real quick your role at the minor league level and kind of what you see real quick, and then ask any follow-ups you have for Sam.
Yeah, so my role at the Knights has changed over the years. Like Sam knows, I used to run the TrackMan system. Now I'm on the other side of the press box where I'm trained to do the scoreboard, the pitch clock, which is when I wear the headset talking to the umpires, and then also to do stats for the video board, which the stats for the video board are separate from the data stringer stats that Sam was talking about. Those are more official stats that go to MLB, to Major League Baseball, you see on their baseball reference page and things like that. The stats that I do are just exclusively for the video board. So when a pitcher gives up a couple runs and then he goes out there the next half inning, you're going to see his ERA go up a little bit. That's from the stats that we enter for the video board for that game.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
what is you heard me? Yeah, you heard me ask about the changes, but go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, and then I wanted to ask Sam about strategy as far as calling for challenges. So when the challenges come to Major League Baseball, I believe each team will get 2 challenges. What kind of strategies do you think Major League teams will implement? Will they make their guys, don't challenge anything before the 3rd inning? Do you think it'll be only do it on 2 strikes? What kinds of strategy do you think will come to Major League Baseball?
Well, I think from the teams we've seen through the minors, it's kind of hit or miss on what their strategy is. The Knights are ones that will just use it whenever they want to, which I think is not the best strategy. And personally, I would tell my pitchers they're not allowed to challenge because they're way too emotional on every pitch because I've seen them get it wrong more often than not. But I think the strategy you want to bring is save it for those crucial situations like bases loaded or just something like that later innings. I wouldn't use it before the 3rd inning personally, and I definitely wouldn't let my pitchers do it because it's just critical to not waste it on a dumb pitch just trying to boost your own batting average. It's about the team, not yourself.
Good advice. Good advice. How about you, Ty? Any questions for Sam along those lines?
So earlier you were mentioning you run the boss system, and this is the first time I'm really hearing about it. So what's You said one of them is situation. What is it all like track like situational wise?
So for that is like on like every pitch, once the pitcher hits his foot, hits the rubber, I have to hit T, which shuts off all. Like if I was at the major league level, it's more about getting the gambling odds out of casinos until next year when they bring in the ABS system. But that makes it like in major league level, there's no more betting on the pitches. But like for situations, I have to make sure I have the right like because for Stringer, you're doing more of the detailed stats. For this, like I just have 3 bases. I have to make sure there's the right amount of runners on base. Doesn't matter who it is, just have a runner on there. And I'm just making sure it's tracking the stuff properly because the team makes sure it knows the track that a pitch is going to be coming in. And like I just put strike on Stringer, you'd put strike swinging or strike fouled, however it is. But on Boss, it's more. You guys had Mojo on your podcast before. The way he always likes to describe it is Boss is a screenshot and Stringer's the portrait. So you make sure you get the whole thing detailed in Stringer, but on Boss, it's more just getting the data as accurately and quickly as possible.
Well, I know all these changes, probably some of them might be new to a lot of fans, but for the intense fans that have been following this for a while, are you surprised it took so long for this to happen? Because like you said, you've been monitoring for a while and it works.
Yeah, I think the biggest part of it wasn't even just whether they're going to bring ABS. I think they knew they wanted to do that. When it first started, it was full ABS. The umpire would just get in his ear to tell him strike or ball. But now the challenge is they wanted to test that out, see what the fans did. And I think they did I don't know how closed off the survey was, but they said the fans actually preferred the challenge system because it gets the fans involved. And to shift gears from sports, I was actually covering a Charlotte 49er volleyball game last week, and you can challenge in volleyball, use a little green card to make your challenges. Well, they gave out all the students at the game green challenge cards, and they were getting all invested in that, bringing challenges. So I think the challenge system helps get the fans excited and get the engagement there. And that way, it's not slowing the game down, but the little bit of time it takes for that, the fans are still invested during that time.
Yeah. Again, folks, we're talking to Sam Perry. We're talking about ABS, the automated, what is it? Automated baseball. What does it stand for again?
Automatic ball strike system.
That's
Right.
right.
It's just one S.
ABS, which will be implemented in the 2026 MLB season. I know Ty's got to get going here because he's got a short lunch hour. But Sam, the last question I have for you is, what else can we expect? I mean, don't go in depth or anything, but are there other things that are being looked at the minor league level that might be implemented down the road?
So far this has been like the sole focus the last 3 years, getting ABS worked out, fixing all the kinks in it before it goes to the major league level. Because major league leaguers are a little more prima donna than the minor leaguers. They're gonna get upset if that strike zone's not what they think it is. So I think it's been that's the main thing I can tell you because that's what's been the focus these
Yeah.
last 3-4 years.
Ty?
I mean, I feel like I have a ton of questions. I hate that I have to leave, but like, do you think like the fans will like this more, or do you think it's like, how do you think it's going to be perceived by the fans, I guess, versus like casual fans? Like, I feel like myself, I'm more of like on the casual side of things versus some people that are like super into every single pitch.
Well, I'm just gonna go based off my dad, who loves to yell at an umpire strike zone. He hasn't been a fan of umpires my entire life, and he's enjoyed it because you can see when the umpire's wrong and see it get corrected. But it's like there's a way to hold the umpire accountable for ball strikes. So we've had the replays on other calls. This is something to help the one thing you couldn't really argue and you couldn't get fixed, and I think that's going to really help casual fans, the hardcore fans like my dad, just being able to see the zones called correctly and get implemented to be better.
Yeah, definitely.
So next up is check swing cam, right, Sam? Is it coming or what?
That one's in real early development. I remember I was down in Clearwater, Florida, to cover the Finers conference tournament, and I was talking to the boss operator there, and they said, "Yeah, we just started implementing that." And like, my personal take on this, not speaking for the company on that one, is the whole point of a check swing is really about intent, which makes it a judgment call. I feel like you can't use a camera to determine, because a lot of the times it's going to cross the plate, but is that really the intent was to swing? I think that's more personal judgment than it can really be implemented with a camera and determining it that way. But that's just my opinion.
And a fast one for you, Sam. What are your thoughts on postseason ABS? Do you think they turn that off for the ABS, or do they keep the challenge system for postseason games next year?
I think I think you got to keep it. It's the way you played the 162. It's not like it's something new you're implementing. You don't change the game in the postseason. You let them play the way they played for the long haul. And I think
Like take away
it's
the
going to be
runner.
exciting. All that I kind of agree with, but this is to help make the game get called correctly, not speed up the ending of a game. And do you remember when we first had ABS? Do you remember Debbie Zavala, our catcher?
Former Mariner.
Yeah. I remember him getting so mad, he got challenged to pitch at the very last out of the game, and it didn't go his way. He would get upset with the rules. But I think the rules are helping. ABS will make the game go quicker, be more accurate. And I think a big factor of this when changing the game, you might see pitchers go back to actually just pitching instead of throwing, because then you're going to have to hit the zone instead of just fooling not just the batter but the umpire. You're going to have to find your way to actually pitch into the zone and get your strikes.
Sam, while we wrap things up here, can you just go over the rules again? Or I guess we didn't really go over the rules at the beginning. We should have. I know that every team gets 2 challenges, and I think it's well. You explain it, because I know that it does expand in extra innings too. They get an extra one.
Yes, but every team gets 2 challenges. If you get it right, you keep it. So you just keep going through until you run out of them. The pitcher, batter, and catcher can be the only ones to challenge it, and they have to do it immediately. We had an issue last Saturday. The catcher waited too long to challenge one that would have been overturned, but they don't want you, because the managers in the dugouts, they've got the iPads that shows them where the pitch is. They don't want you looking that way to get them to tell you what to do. So you got to make that call immediately, hit your ear, or tap your head quickly.
And then in extra innings, you get the 1 extra one, right?
Yes, I do believe you get one in extra innings, and as long as you keep getting it right, to keep it.
All right, Zach, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, I love the volleyball green card thing that you mentioned. Like, ever since you said that, my mind is just racing of like things that Major League Baseball could do. I know you said like obviously they got to tap their helmet right away, but I'm just like envisioning like the challenge mascot, and as soon as there's a challenge, he like runs across the dugout to like signal to the fans a challenge is coming. Like, you could do so many fun things.
Yeah, I was shocked they did that at the volleyball game last week. And let me tell you, Charlotte's coach went 3 for 3 on challenges in the second set, and the fans are all invested. So that's all I was thinking about. I was like, that's a good way to get engagement.
That's cool.
Well, Sam, thank you for so much for being on Big League Dreaming, the podcast. We appreciate it. Are you active on social media? How can we see what you're up to these days?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I run a website covering the Charlotte 49ers sports, which is at CLT Mineshaft. But also my regular Twitter is Sam_P_sports. Just tweeting about all the sports I love, cover them all. Baseball's probably the favorite. It's been my life since 2 weeks old.
I love it. Well, thanks again for being on the show. We appreciate it. Zach, great guest lining Sam up for today. Again, reminder, folks, if you're listening to this on a Saturday morning, we'll be back live tonight with Zane and Zach and myself talking about the final day of the regular season for MLB 2025 season. Will our teams make it? Have the Red Sox been beating up on the Tigers, or the other way around? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Mariners, obviously, and their postseason run. Zach would have to ask Sam about postseason rules versus regular season, because his team is going to the postseason, the Seattle Mariners. How fun that is for him and all of us, right? Once the Tigers are officially done, I'll be all Mariners all the time. All right, Zach, you want to wrap things up and tell people where they can go and how to follow the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam, thanks again for joining today. Loved having you on. For those of you listening, you can follow us on our YouTube channel, Big League Dreaming. You can also follow us on Twitter, formerly X, formerly known as Twitter. It's at BLD Pod, at BLD POD. And we're on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And look for episodes every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. And we'll see you on the next one.
All right. And then maybe we'll see a Mariners Dodgers World Series, right, Sam?
Maybe. I have a little more faith in my team than his, but
Thanks again, everyone, for joining the podcast. We'll see you later tonight. And if you're listening to this, just check us out. The latest episode is right around the corner. Take care, everyone. Bye.